In this video, we're going to insert all the bars in our model. All the bars except for the purlins. Remember that the purlins got designed in portal frame generator. So we have already obtained their ULS checks report. So these purlins that I now display in purple are not going to be inserted in the Sci3D model, but every other bar that we can see now, it's going to be what we are going to insert. So let's go to Sci3D, and since these are the bars that came from portal frame, we're going to start with them. First, we're going to assign them the tags and describe them. So if we select the window that we created in the previous video of the frame, we're going to start by assigning the bars that we are looking at on screen tags. For that, we're going to start with the columns, the vertical lines. So we're going to make columns the active tab here in the dockable window menu. We're going to click here in Assign Elements to Tags. And we're going to make sure in Property Selection that we have just selected bars. Even though we're already introducing the Assign Elements to Tags, let me introduce also a trick of the for the selection. So the trick is for selecting bars. If we open a rectangle selection from left to right, only the element that is entirely inside the rectangle of selection will get selected. So please notice the difference of this left column being not inside completely the box and now being completely inside the rectangle. So if we open the rectangle of selection from left to right, unless the element is completely inside, it won't get selected. But if we open it from right to left, even if it touches the element, and if in this one is not completely inside, it gets selected. So let's select both columns from left to right. Once we have they're inside or touched by the rectangle of selection, they turn blue. Once we do a left click, they turn orange. And to confirm the selection, we had to do a right click. So we want to assign these columns. We're going to not assign but replace because they are already assigned to the default layer. So we're going to choose replace, and instead of by default, we're going to select columns. Okay, let's do the same thing with the top bar. We're just gonna click in it, confirm with the right click, and replace it with the tag BIMS1. And that is for the sign so far. So to describe the sections to be used in these bars, we commented that the top toolbar is follows a sequential order. So in project is where we would find the first thing that we use in any project, which is the general data, and other things related to the entire project, such as the complete view of the structure, and some other features that we might talk about throughout this training. This time, to describe the sections, we move into the next menu, which is geometry, and this is where we find the options for the bars. And to describe the section, we're going to select here where it says section. We're going to start with the columns. So again, from right to left, we're going to select them like this. And here is the sections that we are able to choose from. The software comes not only with steel sections, but also timber, aluminum, and concrete sections. For each material, we have also plenty of section series, and this time we're going to be using generic, linear behavior. We're going to use rolled steel section, rolled die, and it's going to be an HEA 240A. This is going to be the one that we're going to use, but allow me to introduce some other features. So please don't do this. I'm just going to comment that if the section series didn't come up by default, we would have to upload them by clicking here in Edit the List of Sections. And here we find two options to import series. So the first one, import predefined section series, allows us to access this library where we can select the library that we want to import from series from all around the world. Also, we have the possibility to use the manufacturer's products that are in our OpenBIM database. So by creating an account for free in OpenBIM database, we can use our login to download whichever manufacturer's formats. If we're missing any catalogs, we can ask for them. And always, if the library that we're going to need is not here already in either of these two options, we can always define one by hand by using this click in New. We can set a reference for the series, and by clicking in Add, since we are in rolled steel eye sections, it lets us describe one section for that. We can modify the dimensions and select the different parameters. We will have whichever series we create available here next time. So A240A is going to be the ones for the columns. Do not consider fires into action, and we click Accept. Now that the columns have been described, let's go back to the 3D view to comment on some other important features. Here in the dockable window menu on the left, we find back the tags, and I want to comment on the three possibilities that the tags have. This first column has to do with the representation of the bars. So now that the columns have been described, I can click here in this first icon in this first column, and I can choose to see the 3D representation of the section that we used, the I section, or I can choose to see it in a segment way, segment and nodes. This second column has to do with the visibility, which comes handy for the description of these toolbars. So we're going to hide the columns since we have already described them by clicking here in this eye icon. We hit them, and now we can better describe the bars that are left to describe, which were the top bars. These top bars are also going to be in HEA 240. So using the trick of the rectangle selection, we can choose all of them and easily snap them to describe them. Now that they're described, whenever we turn on the 3D view, they must come up. If I make visible again the columns, we can see them together with their 3D representation. Another thing that I want to point out is that we only made the changes in the first frame, but since they are grouped, everything has been done in all of them, as we're going to demonstrate again now. So with this, we're going to move to the window of the frame again, and we're going to insert the extension of this top bar. For that, I'm going to use this object snap called tracking extension, and it's very important to have these select tracking points automatically. So we repeat, for this we have to click here in object snap, and we will find the tracking extension select tracking points automatically. We're also going to make sure that the assign dimensions while entering an element is selected, this option to the right, and I can tell when it's activated because it turns sort of bluish. When it's not active, the background is completely gray, but when it's active, it's sort of blue. And now that they're on, we're going to come back to geometry, make sure that we're in bar insertion. So here in geometry bar, we can insert a new bar, which is going to be the same section as this top bar. We're going to make sure that the active layer, I was going to make a mistake because the active layer now is columns. We are going to switch it to beams. And now that we have the tag beams1 selected and that we're inserting a new bar that is an HE248, we're going to click in this node. And since we have activated the tracking elements automatically, if we zoom in, maybe it will be best seen. There comes a point where there's a guideline that we can easily track, and that is the extension of this bar, and we want to select. And whenever we just click, the software, since we have this other tool activated, will ask for the length, and we're going to give this bar a length of 1 meter 0.003 meters. We're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So we're going to confirm with a right click to exit that end, and we're going to come to this other end. We're going to make sure we snap the node. The node, we know it's snap when it comes this square icon. And now again, we find the track extension and we give it the length of 1.003. Since we have done it in the first plane as we were talking earlier, that has been done in the 3 planes as they were grouped. The following things that we're going to insert, we do not want them to be grouped. So let's ungroup them the same way that we grouped them, by coming to geometry. And here in planes, ungroup, and we select the 3 planes frames, and we do wish to ungroup them. The different object snaps that have to be on are useful at some times and they bother us at some others. So now it's time to come back to object snap and unselect the tracking because it's not going to be useful right now. So we are going to click accept. Okay, for this next step, we're going to insert the beams in the roof. First, we're going to come to tags and we're going to make these ones just segments, not the 3D view. Remember, with this first column, By the way, we explained the first column, the icon of duck. This third column is a lock. So if we lock any layers, they will be snappable, which is very useful sometimes also for the selection. Now let's select as the active window, the active layer, the beams 2. We're going to hide some of these lines because they might bother us, or maybe we can do it without hiding them right now. We're going to rotate the view, and we're going to make sure that the tallest part is on the left of the screen, and we're going to select geometry bar. These bars are going to be a little bit smaller. So here in properties of the new bar, we click here in bar and we can choose an HEA 160. So the bars that we're going to insert, we're going to choose this node right here that if I zoom out is situated on top and the tallest part, and we're going to move to the background and select that other node. So from this node to this node, please notice that a bar has been created that is way darker than the previous lines that we have been inserted. If we do it here too, we will notice the same thing. Please make sure that you're snapping the correct node by zooming in or by hiding the reference lines. And here again, we find that this purple is not that the purple is very dark, it's just that whenever there's a node in between the two nodes that we're selecting, the software by default creates that bar as a full unique bar. If this is not the case, which is our case, this is not the case, this is not going to be entirely its entire length, we have to select what is going to be the element. So by clicking in element and selecting the node in which we want to divide this bar, they will automatically create these individual elements. As you can see, even though they're purple, if we turn them in 3D view, this line is way less dark than this other line because this one is also right now one piece, one full piece. So let's create the individual bars by selecting element and this node right here and this other one, and we create the element. Okay, for the next bars that we want to insert, they're all in the roof. So let's move to the roof, the view window that we created earlier, here in window, select window roof. And to have some references, I want to insert some nodes. So here in geometry, I want to insert new node. I want to make sure that the object snap says nearest. And next, I want to make sure that this dimensions while entering is active. And if I place the mouse over this node number 2 and move the cursor a little bit farther down, I can set up a distance, this time of 0.3. I'm going to do the same thing in this end too, 0.3. And also I'm going to snap this in this node too. Okay, now that we have that reference that is 0.3 here in this plane view, we are going to insert the braces. For the braces, we're going to set that the active layer is the braces. We're going to say that they're going to be of a different type of bar. So here in geometry bar properties, we're going to change the section, not just in dimensions, but this time we're going to select a symmetrical angle section, and it's going to be an 80 by 80 by 6 angle section. When we click accept, we just want to snap this node and make the crosses. So here, since there's a reference line, it's very easy to insert. Now here, now it continues with the insertion. So if I want to move to another node, I just have to do a right click and start over in this other node to insert the braces. Let's move to the 3D view and make all of the beams visible. For that, we're going to use another trick by coming here to the top part of this column. If we click here, we can select all and make them all visible, and this is so far what we have. Let's hide them again with the same trick, clicking here and unselect all. I want to hide these reference lines because they're bothering me more than helping me right now. So here in geometry, planes, visibility, we're going to say hide, and we're going to select everything and confirm with a right click. Now that the view is clearer, we're going to insert our last beams, which are going to be in these beams 3 tag that we created previously in green. And the bars are these ones that we can see here in the middle of the frames. Here, these green lines. So I'm going to, for that, I'm going to use the tool midpoint. So object snapped midpoint. And we're going to make these beams 3 the active layer, of course. We're going to come to geometry bar new. We're going to make sure that the midpoint comes up. The midpoint icon is a triangle. So we snap that and we make sure that we move in orthogonal way by clicking on the next tool that comes here to the right of the dimension while entering. So by clicking in orthogonality, I make sure that I'm moving in orthogonal ways downward, and this is going to have a length of 0.75. We can do the same here in the middle. The triangle means the midpoint, and we move downward until we reach the guideline, because this time it is helpful. We reach the guideline and we have inserted those other 3 bars. Now we're going to insert one final bar that is of a different section. So we move to properties, new bar. Oh, see, these bars were meant to be an angle section. So let me undo my mistake. At any time we can come to selection section, choose them, and make sure that they are an I section HEA 240. Now they are correct. Now let's move back to tags, show them in a segment way, and while entering, now we want to switch the properties again here of the bar, and we want to select this time an HEA 260, since it's going to carry our load that we will insert in following videos. So from here to here, this is the beam that we have now inserted. And if we make them all visible, the structure by now should look something like this with all the bars inserted.